Hey everyone, welcome. Today we're diving into a tool that promises to automate all that boring work you do, but without the crazy expensive price tag. We are talking about Activepieces, and we're going to break down exactly what it is, who should be using it, and how it stacks up against the big names.
So, let me just start with a question for you. Think about all those little, tedious things you do every single day. You know, copying and pasting data, sending the same follow-up emails, creating tasks in your project manager. What if you could get all of that time back and it didn't cost you a single penny? That's the dream we're looking into today.
Okay, before we dive in any deeper, let's just make sure we're all on the same page. Workflow automation, in simple terms, is just about using software to create a chain reaction. It's like setting up dominoes. You push the first one, and the software handles the rest. The whole point is super simple. Save time, make fewer mistakes, and free yourself up to do the work that actually matters. All right, so that brings us right into our first section, what I like to call the automation dilemma. Because, while the idea of automating everything sounds amazing, the reality can be, well, a little more complicated.
This slide really shows the gap perfectly. On the one hand, you have the promise, right? We're talking more productivity, way fewer errors, and your team working together like a well-oiled machine. That's the dream. But then, on the other hand, you hit the roadblocks. So many of these tools are just way too expensive, they're super complicated to learn, and sometimes they just can't do the one specific thing you need them to do. A lot of us get stuck right in the middle of this gap.
And that is exactly where today's subject comes into play. So let's properly introduce Activepieces as a potential fix for this exact dilemma. At its very core, Activepieces is designed to be the bridge that gets you across that gap. It's open source, which means its code is out there for anyone to see and use, and it's built from the ground up to be super user-friendly and accessible, no matter what your budget or technical skill level is.
And you can see right here how it directly attacks those roadblocks we just talked about. Worried about high cost? It's got a completely free core plan. Need more flexibility? Well, it's open source, so you have total control. Scared of a steep learning curve? It's got a simple, intuitive design. Plus, you've got a growing community behind it, and you can choose to run it on your own servers or in the cloud. It's pretty versatile.
Now, of course, Activepieces isn't the only open source player in this space. So the big question is, how does it really stack up against a more established tool like n8n? Let's take a look.
This chart breaks it down really nicely. First off, pricing. Activepieces is all about that free core model, while n8n is more tiered. And that really speaks to their core philosophies. You can see Activepieces is laser-focused on simplicity and making automation easy for everyone. n8n, on the other hand, is kind of known for its raw power and advanced features, but that power can definitely come with a tougher learning curve. So, let's just be real and weigh the pros and cons here. On the plus side, Activepieces is incredibly easy to use. There's literally no cost to get started, and it's perfect for most small to medium-sized projects. But on the flip side, you gotta know that it might not have some of the super advanced features of the older tools, its community is still growing, and it might get a little slow if you build an incredibly complex workflow. It's all about trade-offs.
Okay, enough with the theory and comparisons. Let's get practical. What can you actually do with this tool? Let's see some automation in action with some real-world examples.
I mean, just look at these possibilities. You could have your marketing emails go out on autopilot. You could sync up data between a Google Sheet and your Gmail so you never have to copy-paste again. You could get instant alerts in Slack or Discord for important events. Or, and this one's a lifesaver, you could automatically create a task in Trello or Asana every time someone submits a form on your website. These are everyday problems that you can just solve. And the best part? The process itself is just dead simple. First, you start a new workflow. Give it a name. Then you pick a trigger. That's your if this happens part. Next, you add your action. That's the then do that part. You check it to make sure it looks good, and then you just flip the switch to turn it on. That's it. 4 basic steps and you're up and running.
So, after all that, what it is, how it compares, what it can do, we finally get to the most important question of all. Is Activepieces the right tool for you?
But hey, don't just take my word for it. Listen to this quote from someone in the Activepieces community. I was able to set up my first workflow within minutes, which was a pleasant surprise. And that feeling, right there, that's huge. That moment when something that seems complicated just works in a few minutes, that's a massive win, especially if you've been intimidated by this stuff before. So who's going to benefit the most here? Well, freelancers who are juggling a ton of clients, small businesses that need to watch every dollar, and of course, tech-savvy folks who just love the freedom of open-source software. It's also a fantastic choice for any company that needs to keep its data private and wants full control by hosting the tool themselves. If any of that sounds like you, it's definitely worth checking out.
So here's the bottom line, the main takeaway from all of this. The world of automation doesn't have to be expensive, and it doesn't have to be a headache. A tool like Activepieces proves that you can have something that is powerful, easy to understand, and affordable. It's a really compelling choice that opens up automation for pretty much everyone.
And I'll leave you with this final thought. Just for a second, think about your work week. If you had a free and easy tool ready to go right now, what is the very first boring, repetitive task you would hand over to a machine? Seriously, what would you do with all that time you get back?